You try to date outside your type because they say when you date outside your type, you found your husband. But that is not always the case. Let me get into it.
Okay, what you're seeing is what most men are going to go through in the gym, where you have these girls and they're thirsty for attention. So they start bending over, doing things like this to get their attention. But yet the man is still sitting there just doing his workout, not paying attention to him. You have to understand, guys, your power is in silence. The more she can do all these things and bend over, show her chest, and you don't respond to it, the more power you're going to have over her.
So I locked my key in the car again. So let's try to get it.
Hey.
Okay.
Thank you for wanting the verse from me.
Let's see.
Hold up. Let's first go back to this. Come on, man. She locked her keys in the car for this. What are you going to use the key for?
Okay.
Thank you for wanting the verse from me. Apologies for the wait. Sometimes it's hard to get the distractions of all.
There's the
For enough
key.
time to jot your thoughts.
Thankfully, I got this hole in the door, so
I heard you just had you another little baby.
I can try to.
Congratulations. I hope you got through it with no complications. I find it amazing the way that you juggle your kids, the biz, the fame, the bitches that's hating. They sit around waiting for you to fall off like the album I'm making. But I hope that you're taking a little time for yourself.
Yo, this
Another
is.
moment or two to unwind between the hectic sounds.
The car is already halfway broken into. If you look at the door, why don't she just rip the door off? Or if you got your arms in that far, you should be able to grab it at this point.
Ridiculous.
Clear your mind, see a lot going on. I hear it in all of your songs. Niggas been doing your
Oh, wait.
wrong. Family been doing your wrong. On days feeling like you're on your own. I wrote this for you to put
Putting it
on.
on the
Sharing your life
finger.
in a beautiful poem. Session 32, bring me the tea.
Another episode of Generation Z just does the darnish things.
For ugly people. Isn't there equity for ugly people? Should the government provide them plastic surgery?
Absolutely not. That's crazy. There's no equity for unattractive. I'm not going to use the word ugly because attractiveness is, like I said, it's a depreciating asset in the realm of life. And I think happiness and the success of your life, it really means nothing. It's an asset. It's like having a nice car, but are you going to have a better life because you have a nice car? Absolutely not. And if you misuse it, it can actually make your life worse.
And she's absolutely right about that. And the reason why I played this is because guys have to understand, yes, looks will give you confidence. Looks can draw in attention, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be happy. You would notice that the people who are trying to be perfect and look perfect are the most miserable. It works in favor for women, but it doesn't necessarily work in a favor for a man, because a man still has to be a man. You still have to have resources in order to be respected. When it comes to good looks, it mainly matters to women, but at the end of the day, your looks should not determine if you're going to be happy or sad.
You try to date outside your type because they say when you date outside your type, you found your husband. But that is not always the case. Let me get into it. So y'all know how Kendra G on Instagram has a live dating show that she does on her live on the weekends, right? And so she'll post up highlight videos on her Instagram. And usually she tags the person in the caption, but this time she didn't tag the guy in the caption. So he really seemed like a good catch, like a genuinely good guy. He was like 6'3", no kids, a lawyer, decent looking. Like, I'm like, okay. So I'm in the comments and I'm like, Kendra, why you didn't tag him? So a couple of days, he comments in the comment section and writes me and say it's me. And I like the comment, go to his page. Now, when I go to his page, y'all.
You have to understand, before she starts talking about his page, as a man, when women like you, they will start to do a investigation on you. They turn into little spies. So you have to really watch what you say and do on the internet, because when that girl does like you, she's going to research everything that you do. Let's get to it.
When I went to his page, if he would have tried to talk to me straight from his page, I would have never responded at all. He's totally not my type. He looked better on there live because from his Instagram, would have never gave him the time of day, period. Like, at all. I liked some pictures on his page, but honestly, I didn't even like the pictures because none of his stuff on his page was pleasing.
Well, she's also not that pleasing either. You have to understand, Women are more nitpicky than men are. You're going to always have the least attractive woman talking about what man she thinks is ugly. Just a minute ago, she was saying he was attractive, looking good. Then she seen a picture and it changes everything about him. But he's still the same guy.
To me, like, none of it looked good. But, you know, and he gave, like, corny, lame. But, you know, I be giving him a chance now. You know what I'm saying? I be giving him a chance. Like, I'm trying to find a husband. But I realized I can do corny. I can't do lame. It's a difference. I can't do lame. I can do corny, but I can't do lame. But anyway.
Corny and lame is the same thing. When it comes to corny, your jokes are not good. It's the same thing with lames. Your jokes are not good. You do not have any swag. You do not have personality. Or you're trying to be something that you're not. Just because you may be a straight edge guy working 9 to 5, that doesn't make you a lame. A lame is somebody who is trying too hard to fit in.
So he set up a day. He DM'd me. We got small talk in the DMs. He scheduled a date. He sent me an Uber. We get to the date. Y'all, he was so boring. He was boring as hell. Literally, I would ask him questions and he like would keep saying, I don't know. How you a grown ass man and don't know? Like, questions about yourself. Like, literally, he said, I don't know about over 6 times. Like,
sometimes when you go on these first dates, a lot of people make the mistakes on first dates because they start to look like interviews. That's what a lot of women do. You go on a date with a guy, the guy is probably already nervous because you're treating the first date like an interview. Men could be more nervous on a date because women have more options. Men don't. Now, you have to determine what type of woman she is to decide what's lame, what's exciting, and what's not. This is why I tell you guys, it's extremely important to know what lane you are in life to know what type of women are going to like you back. Because women will come up with any excuse. And you got an ugly girl talking about a man is a lame.
I'm not even over-exaggerating. And sometimes I would not say anything just to see if he would talk and he wouldn't. It'll be dead awkward silence. Like, sir, what? So I'm confused. So I was like, this is what I get for trying to date outside of my norm. Like, he literally had no conversation. He was so boring. It was like pulling teeth. And then when I asked him like what type of women he date, he was like, oh, I usually date spontaneous women and fun women because they're usually fun because he boring, basically. And then I could tell he was annoyed, like when the night ended and I gave him a hug and he moved his arm and so my makeup got on his shoulder. Girl, he was pissed.
When it comes to the modern woman, men have to understand, if you're looking at your phone all day, your attention span is short. So women, they're looking at their phone way longer than men, so their attention spans are even shorter. Now, when you go on a date with a woman, she's expecting you to keep up with the speed of the internet in order for her to be entertained. It's the same thing with a lot of guys. No one knows how to date because what they need from a person, the dopamine releases, is all in the flick of a button.
Women these days want to chase the guy, pursue him, text him, but then get bitter when they're not pursuing us back. And when they do, y'all accuse him of sexual harassment. Now he's a creep. It's no wonder men don't want to approach us anymore.
Well, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I have absolutely no idea, but I feel like I do. I think in today's society, especially Western society, modern day feminism is warping the minds of women and leading them in a direction that doesn't even benefit them. It's gone from having the same rights as men on a citizen level, which was necessary, to wanting to be viewed as equal to men, which I don't care about, to now being in competition with men and trying to prove who can be more of a man than a man.
She's absolutely right. And I think that that's the biggest problem that we have right now is a lot of women trying to prove to a man who's the better man between a man and a woman. I've told you guys this before. A lot of women are the weakest vessel. You do have strong women out there, but you want to know the difference between a strong woman and a weak woman? A strong woman can hide her powers back. Only a strong woman can get married. Only a strong woman can actually get a man. A weak woman can't. Why? Because a weak woman can fall for manipulation. A weak woman can fall for agendas. And that's what we have now. The world has been broken down to where men and women have been weak. So once you've been broken down spiritually, then it's easy for you to be conquered, which is why you have a lot of men who have feminine traits and they're not aware of it. And you have women out there who have a lot of alpha and testosterone traits as men, but they're not aware of it because they're both under a mind manipulation. This is why we tell guys you have to go your own way, because it's easier for a man to find himself and not fall for less agendas than it is for women. Women, it's easy for them to fall for agendas because they live in themes. Women always have to have something new going on with their life. So when it comes to an agenda, it's easier for them to fall for it because it feels new to them.
Even the best type of man at that. They become the kind of man that has no emotional intelligence, cannot take criticism, has to control every situation, very sexually liberated, completely neglecting their feminine energy, which they're constantly fighting with, because deep down in their soul, they don't even want to be like that. They want love and attention, but when they finally find a good man, they're scaring him off with all that heavy masculine energy. But they don't want to hear it, they don't want to do the self-evaluation and the work to build their self-esteem, and then they get desperate and end up in situations like that.
That's where you see a lot of women that are like in their 40s and 50s that were feminists in their 20s and 30s. When they get around 40 and 50, they start to become very, very, very desperate. But normally around that time, they have hit the wall completely because they're too manly. They didn't take care of themselves. They only dedicated themselves to their jobs. That's where you start seeing a lot of Karens out there. And now you're starting to see a lot of black women who act just like Karen too, because they're reaching levels of desperation. And the reason why they're mad at the world is because they actually evaluated themselves and gave themselves a realistic understanding that they will not get a man. It's the same as a lot of you guys that are black pill and you're fully convinced that you will not get a woman. So then you just go full blown black pill. That's kind of like what a feminist Karen is. She's full blown black pill. She hates any and everything because she's not happy with herself. And she feels like there's nothing that she can do with herself to change her outcome whenever it comes to love. I just want a lot of you guys out there to understand that when it comes to attraction, people are physically attracted to people, but if you have good energy and a lot of like strong will and power, that also shows and make you attractive. You got to realize for a lot of you guys out there that are ugly and don't believe you can get a woman, it's a guy out there uglier than you that has a lot of them.
Guys, I am almost positive a lot of you guys are going to be on my side on this one. Nowadays, a woman who shows any kind of masculinity is a complete turn off. That is an automatic disqualification in my book.
And I agree with him on that. It is an automatic disqualification, especially when you're a man that have a plan. If you're a man that has a plan, you don't have time to come home and be combative with a woman who doesn't have a plan. She's just trying to prove to you that she's stronger as you and that she's more powerful than you. That is the biggest turnoff now in Western civilization. But you have to understand what Western do, the rest of the world is starting to follow now because of the internet.
They're not pursuing us back. And when they do, y'all accuse him of sexual harassment. Now he's a creep. It's no wonder men don't want to approach us anymore.
That's what they call the men they don't like.
So it's been brought to my attention that men no longer want to come up to women anymore. Due to sex allegations, women being just so rude and disrespectful, and rejection. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know men didn't want to come up to women anymore. I'm barely finding this out.
You just found out?
A lot of girls don't understand it because a lot of girls are living different realities. There are certain parts of the world where you're going to have more guys pursuing women and getting rejected. Then there's certain parts of the world where there's guys getting a lot of women right now that they're not even understanding what's going on. This is why it's very important for you guys to get up and travel around the world. Big shout outs to Alfie Kingdom Podcast. He is one of those guys that are in this space and living out that men going their own way. He actually lives it out. He's always traveling. I think he's in Africa right now. That's a good channel for you guys to follow. But that's what's very important about life, is that when you start discovering these different areas about life, you'll notice that a lot of these relationship complications are geared towards a certain group of people.
Where have you been?
Why do women choose to cuss guys out when they come up to them and approach them? I have no idea. I apologize for that.
No, they only do that to the men that they don't like. Yeah, it's too late for that now.
He's right about that. Women are only gonna say, this guy's harassing me. This guy is treating me bad, or this guy's a creep, to guys that they're not interested in. Like, you got to always think about the school dance. When you guys went to the school dance and you go to pull up and dance with a girl, the first thing she does is turn around and look at you and size you from up and down. All right. You're just like any other guy, but depending on how you look and how she feel would determine how victimized she is when it comes to you. That's the thing about a woman. You put the allurement out there to allure all the guys in, but when the guy lures in who's the wrong guy, then that's when it becomes harassment. And that's the problem, is because women can always use that in their favor, and they can also use it to lie.
There's just too many fine men. And if it takes me, the women, having to come up to you guys and shooting my shot, saying what's up, being the big stepper, then I'll just have to do that. And I'm going to just start coming up to you guys and shooting out compliments and see where it takes me.
Well, that's the end game. Most girls are going to have to resort to that either way. Period. Women have to turn around and start to pursue men now, because men are actually happier going their own way, doing their own thing. Granted, you still got some beta simps that are online that are going to be there for moral support for the woman, but women are going to stop living this virtual reality world, and they're going to have to resort to coming back into reality. And in reality, they're going to have to pursue the man.
So if I start coming up to y'all in the grocery store and I say, excuse me, sir, you are just so sexy, I want a response. Okay, I don't want none of that shy stuff.
You do, you boo. I guess if you see somebody you like, you might as well shoot your shot. Now, guys, this is how badly things have gotten, guys. It has gotten so badly to the point now women feel the need to approach men. We can now start expecting more women to start approaching men, just out of desperation.
All right. And I want you guys to go check out the channel. It's called ADM Crazy Reviews. And that's the video that I'm reacting to today. But the moral of the story here, guys, is what if the woman does start to pursue men? Are you ready to be in a relationship? Are you ready to take on that responsibility? The answer to most of your questions is going to be no. And the reason for that is because you haven't figured yourself out yet. In order for someone to be with you, in order for you to be with someone, you have to figure yourself out. Next, and I'm gonna say this again. You can only be in a relationship with a woman if you've been taught how to be in a relationship. It's the same thing with a woman. If she hasn't been taught how to be a wife, she's not going to be a good wife. So don't be afraid to live in your place, she live in her place, and you guys are just girlfriend and boyfriend. That's where we're going into nowadays, all right? Comment, like, subscribe to both of my channels, and if she ain't holding you down, she's slowing you down. Hasta la vista.